Welcome to Blender Frenzy. I am Justin. In this tutorial, this is what we are going to add to our skull, and that is the jaw. So we are going to create this thing, which we're going to be focusing on just simple shapes on an outline. And we're going to focus on loop cuts and planning based on the image where we want those loop cuts to be so that we have still pretty good topology for whatever we build. And we're going to go over lots of little tips and tricks on how to make all of these shapes here, these indents and these holes, and kind of a little bit of problem solving to try to keep as much quads as we can, as good of topology as we can, and as minimal geometry as we need, which will give us this, and then we will slap those textures on and the principled shader that looks like this, and of course add the skull back onto it. In the end, we will have something that looks like this. So let's get started. Okay, so here is what we have with the skull. We're just going to rename this here. Skull, all these are our iterations here. All of our iterations, and then I'm going to select the ones, let's see, just make sure we can select them. Select these, M new collection backups. You can do this if you want. This is just my workflow here. Disable the backups and put them up at the top. And now we just have our most recent iteration here, which I'm going to promptly hide. Go to our split view and let's enable the overlays up here. Let's go into front mode and side mode so that we can start forming our jaw. So same way that we did with the skull, I'm going to add in a mesh plane, rotate on the X90, and that's RX90. I just enabled screencast keys, so they're going to be right up here. Okay, I'm going to scale it down in the front and then move it down to something like right about here, the bottom of the chin to the bottom of the teeth. Let's add in a mirror modifier, turn on clipping, go into edit mode, and then grab if we just grab everything and press G, you can see if I pull this out, it's going to start clipping like we want it. And I'm going to just set it right there for now. Let's make this X-ray mode. I'm also going to turn X-ray mode to 0.2. And we have to do that in both views here. 0.2. And then I'm going to take this edge here and bring it to the side of this hole here. Now, just like always, we need to make sure when we move something in one view, we have to move it in the other. So I'm going to tab into object mode because I want this to be lined up here like this in object mode, and then tab back into edit mode, take this edge and put it where the edge of this hole is here. So it kind of matches both pictures. And again, these pictures are not the same, obviously, so there's going to be a little variation. Okay, and then I'm just going to E to extrude over here and line it up something like that. Just really rough shape. And of course, we have to do it over here as well. So G to grab that and move that over here. Okay, and if we come out of X-ray mode and we can rotate around to see what we have so far. So that's looking pretty good. So that step one is to add a plane and then block it in both the front and the sides. Step two is to form the initial shape, the outline, with loop cuts. So we're just going to add some loop cuts in here. I'm going to add about maybe 5 here. And then I'm going to take each loop cut and just put them, I'm looking at the picture here, so I know these are going to be holes. So I'm just going to put them on either side of the holes, and we can also just take the points here and move them. We could also just do this and rotate, but if I rotate, it's going to change the shape of it, and I don't want to do that. So it's just better to double G to slide everything. So you can see how the edges are going in the spaces between these holes. And then this one, I think I'm going to take this and double G to slide this over here like that. And then before I do anything else, I'll take this one, E to extrude that up, and then scale that and rotate it to sort of match the top of that like that. Okay, so let's take the bottom here down like this, and then rotate that a little bit. And I probably should have taken this one as well. So let's just take this and pull that down to match. Let's do X-ray. And you can see this is too low, so let's pull that up. And you can also see, because these pictures don't match, this isn't going to match 100%. We can take these and then just kind of maybe rotate them a little bit and pull them in. And just roughly match that like that. And I'm just going to come back out here just to make sure everything is still lined up pretty well. And I think it is. We can maybe pull this down a little bit. And then the last part of the shape here is just to pull these down like that, and maybe pull that up. So we got this nice curve here going, and then readjust these. Okay, so that is the overall shape or outline or profile. So that's step 2 done. Step 3 is to add loop cuts based on the image. So we're going to look at the image and figure out where our edge flow is going to be. So I know I'm going to extrude this part out over here. There's a lot going on over here. If we hide this, you can see there's a lot going on. I'm going to just follow this line down over here like this to about right here. So this section here, and then I'm going to follow this curving up like that. And that's going to be extruded out. And you can see that here in the front view as well. So that's this piece down here. It's kind of extruded outwards from the rest of the jaw. And then I'm going to take this circular piece here and then extrude it out over here like that. So I'm just going to start adding loop cuts where I think it might help us to form that shape. So just maybe 3 of them right here, or maybe 4. I'm going to try to be minimalist and go 3 here, maybe 1 up here like that, and then maybe 1 more here like this. Okay, I'm not going to move these points just yet. We're just planning right now. I'm going to do another loop cut down here to plan this out down here, and then 1 here that kind of comes across here and dips down like that. You can kind of see it matches up with some points of interest over here and the front of the chin. And then of course down here as well. I'm going to add another loop cut up here at the top of all of these holes here like that. And that kind of just a natural sort of edge flow going on there. And I think that's good for now. So that's adding loop cuts based on the image for step 3. And step 4 now is to add a Solidify modifier to visualize what it's going to look like with thickness. So let's come over here and add in a Solidify. You might have to search for it and type it, but I already had it in the list. So if we move this thickness, you can see we can make it as thick as we want right in here. Now if you go the opposite way, it's going to push outwards, but I want to go inwards, so this will be 0.5. And then I also want to, at this point, add in some smoothness. Now the first way we can do this is tab out into object mode and select our object and right click and shade smooth, shade auto smooth. So that smooths it a little bit, but we also want to add in a subdivision surface modifier. Again, you might have to search for that, but we put that below here like this, and then add 1 more, so that's 2 levels here. And that's a lot smoother, but we've lost a lot of definition. Now I can drag the subdivision surface up, and you can see this is more of what we're going for. But because we're going to be applying the Solidify modifier, I actually want to keep this at the top. This is going to give a more accurate representation of what we're going to have. So you can see, and I can adjust the thickness here like that, but I don't think that's going to be necessary, because if we bring the subdivision surface up, you can see this is a good thickness, and we'll be able to maintain that with some loop cuts later on. So let's bring the Solidify back up. I'm going to actually also click even thickness. That's just going to give us a better thickness there. And then in object mode, we can click this down arrow and click apply. And then we have a little bit of an issue here. And that is because if we tab into edit mode, and as long as we don't have this on cage. If you have the on cage and it looks like something like this, then just uncheck this button over here, and then we can see kind of what's happening over here. Let's do the on cage for the mirror though. So if we come over here and select these points and press period on the numpad so we can kind of zoom in, and I'll scroll out. This is why we're having that pinching, is because you can see if we disable and enable that mirror modifier, it's crossing over. So let's go into X-ray mode, and we want to grab this whole loop. So Alt and then click to grab that whole loop. And then I'm going to grab it, press G and then X, and then just slide those until all of them have merged with each other, because we have clipping on, remember, for our mirror. And that is good. So let's see what we have now. Okay, well, it did help the pinching a little bit, but we still have this really harsh line. And the reason for that is if we disable the mirror modifier, we actually have, let's disable subdivision as well, faces here. And so it's calculating these faces in that, and we don't want that. So let's just take all of these faces and delete faces. Okay, and if we add that mirror modifier back on and the subdivision, now we've gotten rid of that sharp line. Okay, but we need to sharpen this up a little bit more. You can see this is too rounded, so the way we do that, of course, is with edge loops. So edge loops going all the way over almost to the other edge loop on the side. We'll tighten that up and then do the same thing on this side. So this is what we have. We're starting to get back to what we had originally. Okay, and it's still a little bit too rounded going this way. So right here, it needs to be a little bit sharper. So we can do that pretty easily by adding a loop cut here and then just pulling that in up like that. And then maybe taking this loop and then pulling that. Let's just double G to slide that. I'm going to slide that closer here. Awesome. Okay, that is step 4 done. Actually, that is step 4 and 5, which is applying the modifier and cleaning it. So we're on to step 6, which is to create the side pieces over here. And we're going to start with this circle. So let's go over to these 4 right here. Let's an easy way to do this, let's go into wireframe without X-ray mode. And then that will give us a cleaner picture over here. So if I select these faces, let's inset them with I. And for this next move, you're going to need something called loop tools. So go to Edit, Preferences, Add-ons, and search for loop tools and make sure that is enabled. And then with that, you can right-click Loop Tools and then click Circle. And it will automatically create a circle from those squares. And since we inset it, it's already going to come out back into the square following good topology. Now I am going to take these top faces. Let's deselect everything, circle select with C, and then just take these faces. If you accidentally select some faces and circle select, middle click and you can deselect those. But you're not going to be able to select anything or do anything else unless you get out of circle select mode. So press right click always to get out of that. And then I'm going to just take that and we're going to move that up a little bit. And I just realized I am still in proportional editing mode. I don't want to be in that. So I'm going to disable that and now I'll pull that up. There we go. So we have a little bit more space between the circle and the top. Okay, so the next thing is I'm going to start to shape these points to make this flow a little bit better because we're going to extrude both of these out here. So this piece here, let's take some of these points and just start to, let's see, what's going to be the best here? Probably like this. So I'm just kind of lining them up. Now I don't want to change anything about my circle, so I'm just going to pull this up a little bit right now, and we can deal with that maybe a little bit later. I'm going to pull these in maybe. No, that's on the edge here. I'm going to leave that there. And then maybe pull this up down here. So you can kind of see what I'm doing is I have this edge loop, which is going this way, but I'm actually going to take it and move it up, basically. So it's going to actually come from here to here, and here, and here, and around to here, like this. Okay, so that's good. This is going to come up like this. And actually, I'm not going to extrude this part out. I'm actually going to extrude this part. So really, it's going to, let's see. Okay, this is a little off as well. So I should have had this before we did the Solidify modifier maybe, but that's okay. I'm just going to pull that out over here, maybe pull this also over here. Okay, so it's basically, it's going to, well, I'll just show you by face select. So it's going to be these faces here. Those faces right there. That's going to be extruded along with this. And so we can do that. Press E to extrude those out a little bit like that. And let's just see what that looks like in subdivision. All right, we've got a start. It's not perfect, but we've got a start. Let's tighten up this up here with an edge loop. And if you want, you can do an edge loop going back like this, but I'll do that later because I don't want too much geometry at this point. So that's fine. I'm also gonna maybe do one loop cut here on this edge to kind of give that a little bit more definition like that. Okay, I like that. It's not too bad. But I think here is a little bit too defined. And so we need to clean this up. Now, every time I go to clean this up, it's something different. I do something different, so just bear with me. I'm gonna figure out what I actually want to do here. So first off, I think I'm going to, well, let's do this here. Let's just do this. I'm gonna double G to slide those back, and then we'll take these also, pull that back. And in fact, I might actually take, we'll just see, again, I haven't done this before, but it's gonna maybe help us. We'll just try it. Oh, I want it to go up and around, so take these to here. And then we'll just double G and slide those in. And because I have auto merge vertices on, they're gonna merge with that here. So it's gonna create a triangle down here to here, and up here to here, but I don't think I care about that all too much just yet. I think that looks okay. So that's getting there. I think I want to also redirect this edge flow so that I can take these and double G to slide those. And I don't want to take these two and slide those because I want to keep this corner piece here to keep that sharp there. So I'm just going to redirect that. So I'm going to take the knife tool by pressing K, select this point, and then just straight down to this point like that. And then we'll take these two edges, X and dissolve edges. There we go. And we have a triangle here, but again, I don't really care about that. It's going to help us to be able to smooth this out a little bit. And I can actually take these, double G to slide those up a little bit, and then we can also take these and double G to slide those back a little bit, and that's what we have. I like that a lot better. So we can now have this smoothness kind of going on over here. But we haven't lined things up in the front view for a while, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's go into wireframe here without X-ray. I'm going to turn off subdivision here. There we go. And then we'll use this over here to select. I'm going to select, oh, this is actually pretty good. Okay, you know what? Something I'm going to do now that I should have done before, but we didn't yet. So I'm just going to take this, Shift D to duplicate that. And now we have two planes that we're going to, of course, call jaw, which I should have done before I duplicated it, but it's okay, jaw. Take the first one, M, and move that to backups. Okay, let's also save our work. Okay, and then back in edit mode, let's take these faces here, grab those, except for I do want proportional editing on this time, and then scroll that up, move. And if you don't see proportional editing, and it's moving everything, it's because your circumference is too big. So you need to scroll up on your mouse wheel until you can see the circle, and then that's your sphere of influence there. So something like that is all right. This doesn't look like it's, now let's do Control plus to grab that whole piece. If I pull that down, let's see, I want to see that in the side view as well. Pull that down. Oh yeah, okay, so that's going to match a little bit more too with this over here. All right, so this is what we have so far. So we're looking pretty good. It's getting there. I'm also going to tighten this up over here, this geometry. So just kind of take these points and kind of pull them in. Oops, not proportional editing. Okay, so we've got some, maybe I do want proportional editing. So let's take these and these and move those. Okay, no proportional editing. I can just do it like this. There we go. I like that. And then this can kind of come down and maybe up. Yeah. And then this can come down. That can go down as well. And let's take some of these faces, proportional editing, and just squish those in here, just to line that up a little bit better. Okay, let's save it. All right, so the last step is to add these indents and holes that you see here that we've planned for with all of our loop cuts. Go into front mode, and so the first one I'm going to do is this one here. So let's, I'm going to use this as the front. We'll come out here so we can see our work. I know I keep going back and forth, and I know there's a better way to navigate and all of this stuff, but it's just kind of what I've gotten used to. So, okay, let's take these two faces here, and let's, before I do that, let's take this edge and not proportional, just double G to slide that down a little bit. Okay, and now we can take these two faces, I to inset, and if you're too close to what you're trying to inset, just undo that and hover your mouse a little bit more away, and then do that again, I to inset, and it's going to give you a lot more control. Now the reason it's insetting like this, you can press I again, and then it separates it even more. But let's press I again, and the reason it's doing this is because it's a mirror modifier. So if we don't have this, it's actually doing it correctly. It just doesn't look like it is. So let's take these two faces and delete them. And then let's take these two edges, grab on the X, and just pull those in like that. Okay, so now with this inner portion here, I'm just going to line these up with this little indentation, and now we can extrude just these, and we'll extrude those back like that, and not too far to go past the back of it, but something like that. And in our subdivision surface looks like this. So yeah, that doesn't look too bad. However, it does look like, if we hide this here, it does look like maybe the dip here is deeper than it is down here, just from the shadows. I don't know that for sure, but we can do that if we want. All we have to do is take these edges and then just slide them up closer like that. And we have something more like that. I'm going to pull them back just a little bit, and then that defines it a little bit more. If you want more definition as well, you can also add a loop cut in here with Control R, and then just keep it in the middle up here. But for like the sides for these two, we can just double G to slide those closer to the outside edge, and that just gives you a little bit more of a definition on that outside edge, and that's not too bad. So we're just going to keep it like that and move on. And I'm going to actually Shift D to duplicate that and then move the first one into backups, save it, and we will move on. So now we're going to do this hole right here, which that consists of these two faces here. Let's see, we can maybe move these points a little bit better according to the outside here. And this is actually, we can take these faces, proportional editing, and move them out. Just a rough shape there. Okay. And now we can take these two and extrude those in a little bit longer there. You can see it start to clip right there, maybe something like that. And I'm going to go over here and look at that. Okay, so we have some shape starting, but it looks like this is a little bit more shallow on this end than here. It looks like the back is deeper, so we can adjust that by taking these two edges, double G to slide those closer here. Something like that. And then of course we can define this a little bit more with loop cuts going in and around in the back there, like that. Yeah, that looks okay. And then maybe, maybe, oh yeah, let's take these two, double G to kind of slide those more in the center, so it's more of a smooth transition there. And then maybe we can take these also and slide them back like that. There we go. Yeah, just more of a smooth transition like that. And then we can create this lip here too. If we do another loop cut going this way. Now, of course, here's the thing I'm going to do, because this is so tiny here. I mean, I guess I could just slide these back and then take these two and slide these back like that. And maybe we can also slide these back just a bit too. Yeah, that still works. Keep those loop cuts even, because then we can select this loop here, E to extrude, and then right click, and then scale, and we can start to scale inwards. And so that's going to give this little lip around the whole thing that we can also just adjust these here. We really only want the lip over here, but if we do it only over here, it's just going to look weird. So we have these, and then we can take these. What I'll do is change the transformation from global to normal, and then press G and then Z, and it's going to move it back along its normal. And same thing with this one, G, Z, and then just the direction that it's facing, this little thing. And I may even just, let's see, we may even just merge these in. Just merge those so that it doesn't actually create that lip. And I might do the same thing over here. That's a little bit tough to see. There we go. And so we have that. Okay, yeah, that's a little bit better. Yes. So it's going to create some triangles over here, which is fine because it's transitioning into this little lip that we have. And let's take that out. So same thing here, we can grab on the Z axis and pull that out. Take this, grab on the Z, and then we'll pull that down a little bit. Just make that a little bit thicker. There we go. We can also take the back side of those. Let's go into X-ray mode. Oh, that's a little bit hard to see. Let's turn off mirror. Okay, there we go. I'll take the back face there, that one, and this one. Grab on the X. Now, since we're in normal transformation, I have to press X twice. So G, X, X, and then it's going on the global transformation. That's just making that a little bit more thick. don't worry about what it looks kind of like. It looks like weird artifacts here because I think this is just being caused by the fact that we have the angle at 30. Yeah, and the more we pull that up, the smoother that's going to be. So we can make this, 50, and it's just going to look a lot smoother in here. But yeah, don't worry about that because the texture and the lighting and stuff is going to help that. Okay, and then we have this little tab here it's optional, but I'll show you how I do it. I would take these two. I don't want to add two more loop cuts going this way, although I could, because we don't have that much geometry. But the way I do it, I think, is I just inset this a little bit here like that, and then take this, double G to slide that down, take this, double G to slide that up, and now we have two faces here that can be extruded like this out like that for a tab. And if you don't want that little lip there or this little thing, then we have to, I suppose we could just take these two, this, and just kind of pull that out to make it a little bit more even with the rest of it like that. There we go. Now you have a smooth kind of lip there. Just to help you give you ideas to make these complex shapes like this. And I think that's good enough for that one. Let's move on to the next one. Let's save it. Okay, so for this one, I'm just going to go into side view over here. For this one, this is going to be where this piston is going to come out. So we actually have to go back and down, and that's kind of why I have this extruded out over here. So we've already prepared for this. So the best way that I've found to do this, let's just slide these here a little bit more. I'm going to create another edge loop here. Instead of insetting this, I could inset this, but that's going to kind of break up our topology. I'm just going to create another edge loop like this for this, and this will be what we can extrude inward. So I'll just extrude this, and I'm going to extrude it just a tiny bit, left click, and then extrude it again, left click, and then one more time, just a tiny bit. And that's just so that we don't have to add these edge loops. You could go in and add the edge loops afterwards if you wanted to. And now we have something that looks like this, which is a start here, but we also need it to go down. So let's take these faces, and this would actually be good if we had this loop still going around. So I'm gonna do that. Let's take these two faces, X to delete those faces. And same thing down here, take these and delete those. That way we can add in a loop cut going this way like that. And I'll just do another one like that. And I know that's a little bit convoluted. I'm going to select this loop and double G to slide that into here. There we go. Now it's all connected. Good. Okay, so now what I can do is take these faces. And the reason I did that, by the way, so we could have a lip here still, so that when we extrude these down, we still have an edge there. So maybe something like that, or maybe actually a little bit more. Extrude that down, maybe like that. And let's see what that looks like. Okay. That's a start. This is a little bit weird here, so we want to shape that out a little bit more, which I think we're just going to pull these out a little bit more like this. Give it a little bit more shape. Oh, let's kind of being sloppy at this point doing that, so you can kind of do it however you would see fit. Okay, let's just take this face and just pull that out. Yeah, something like that. And then maybe these two, and then pull it over a little bit to line it up a little bit better. Maybe we can do a loop cut in here like this to go up to maybe define that edge a little bit more. Yeah, okay, I like that a little bit better. We can also go in here and add one right there, just so that we can take the inside here. This is a little difficult, so here we go. And then grab that and pull that out. Awesome. So now we have a place where the piston is going to go and shoot out from there and up into the skull. Okay, so I'm also going to duplicate this again, take this one and move it to the backups, and we'll go to our last part where we can take these faces, and I could inset like this and then extrude them, and I don't think I'm going to do that because I want to make them square, and it's going to be easier just to have some loop cuts like this going around like this. Okay, and then also I think we have enough. I mean, we don't have that much geometry, so we can afford to do it on the bottom like this. Okay, good. And then we have it on the top like that. So now we have the top and the bottoms and the sides to these. Oh, I don't have the sides over here. Let's do it on this one as well. Loop cut here, loop cut here. Okay. And so now they should be the same on both sides. Let's get rid of the mirror modifier for now. So it should be this face and this face and this face and this face. And the reason that's important is because we're going to just make a hole going back with those faces. And let's go into X-ray mode to see this a little bit more clearly. So it's going to be these two that we're selecting, and then we can right click and then select bridge faces. So let's do the same thing over here with these two. Right click, bridge faces, and now we have holes. Okay, but now they're rounded, and so this is why I sort of wanted to do it like this. We add some more loop cuts just to make those look a little bit more square. Like that. And to be honest, I don't know if these are actually holes here, but I just made some creative decisions on that. So, oh, but we don't want the hole here. So we got to make sure we add in our faces back here, which might be a little bit more difficult now. What's the easiest way to do this? Let's take this face and delete it. And then we can take this, E to extrude, and then Control to snap. And I have my snapping on vertex. So, and then we can just do that across. E, Control snap, E, Control snap, E, Control snap. That's probably going to be the fastest there. And then, of course, we'll have to take each of these points together to snap those to their appropriate places. And this would go here. And then these go like this. Let's do this one first. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. All right, and let's see what that is with the mirror. Perfect, okay. We're getting there. Okay, one of the last things here I want to do before we put the textures on is to add some more detail to this circle here. Because if we look in the side view, you can see we have these like rings. And so I kind of want to do that. And you know, the perspective is a little bit off here, but I still think that we can make this work. Let's also move this a little bit. Let's get our proportional editing tool here and just move that back up like that, just so that matches when we project it. Okay, so with this, let's I to inset this. This is going to be our outer ring that stays, and then we go inset, and this is going to be the chasm. So then we inset, this is going to be the first inner ring, then chasm, then second inner ring, and then this is going to be the chasm. So we're going to select all these chasms, which are every other one. So Shift and then Alt and then select all of those, and then E to extrude those back. And then we have something that looks like this. doesn't look all that circular. Let's so maybe maybe let's do this. Let's take this and then shift select. I'm going to disable proportional editing and just pull this in down a little bit, and then same thing with this. Take these and pull those up and in just to make that more of a circular shape. There we go. Now, of course, you could, add loop cuts here if you want to have this defined a little bit more on, the edges, kind of around the sides like that. I kind of like that. I'm not going to do it on the inside of these because I don't want it to be too flat because these look a little bit more round. But yeah, that looks pretty cool. Okay, I think that is good enough for our projection. So let's save it, duplicate it again, and move to backups. Now, let's go to our project. So just the same way as our skull has our two projections. Remember from last time, if you're following along, we have the front projection and the side projection, and the side projection is being painted on using a mask. So if we come over here to texture paint, you can see what that looks like, and that's actually wrong. Mask side. So we actually want to go to our data tab and then UV maps. We want to select our side. That's what that's supposed to look like here. And so you see all the white has been painted on to where the side should be, and then the front, where it's all black, is just showing the front. And so we get something then that looks like this. Let's change these back here, and actually let's bypass the principled BSDF so we just see the texture. So you can see the front, that's where the front is, and then the side, that's where the side is, and then we mix them using that mask, and we've just added those two together. And we did a little color correction as well, but that's essentially what we're going to do with the jaw. So let's hide the skull for now. Let's come back to project so we can select this properly here. And we need to add in a material. I'm actually going to select this material now, which is for the skull, so we're going to call this skull. And then I'm going to select this button to create a duplicate, and then we'll call this jaw. So now we have two things that we can select here, jaw and skull. This one is going to be for the jaw, and it's going to be using the same images, of course, but we don't have our UV maps selected correctly. So let's go to UV editing, and that's down here. This is the same thing. So we need a UV map called UV front and UV side. And if you look at our new UV map for our jaw, it's not named that. So we can double click UV front and then plus UV side. Okay, so now we have those, and now it's not red anymore, which is good. But if we actually select these, and are we in, let's enable our overlays. So we don't have anything selected. So we are in edit mode, but we need to press A to select everything. And you can see here are all of our UVs, which they're just all over the place. So for the front, we need to go into the front camera mode. Remember, we have to be in camera mode for this, and this is why I've set up the camera specifically in a certain position. If we are in front mode, not in camera mode, and I have the front mode like set up like this, and then I press U, project from view, it's not going to line it up correctly. And that's because it depends on the positioning of the viewer camera. So you have a viewer camera or the user camera. It's just whatever the viewport is showing. So if I zoom out, you unwrap, it's going to be really small. If I zoom in, you unwrap, it's going to be bigger, but it's going to be out of place. So the exact placement is the camera, because I already have it locked and set up in a certain position. So selecting the front camera as our active camera and then hovering over here, press 0. and then you project from view, it's going to project it exactly on as we see in our image. And that's, again, we set this up in the very first video of the series. The camera itself, if we tab into object mode and select that, the camera is actually in orthographic mode, which is important for this. So anyway, go watch that video if you haven't seen it. Having said that, so we've got the front camera. When we do this projection, we need to make sure the front is selected. If we select the side by accident, just reproject it using the front. And then for the side, of course, we're going to select the side, select the cam side as the active camera, and now we need to project with this to the side. And you can see we have this. Now, I wish that it would change here for the front reference. This doesn't matter. This is just display for us, so this doesn't affect what we see in our preview. And we can come out here and see what we have now without our overlays. So we've got our projection going on, but we're using the mask side for our skull, which looks like this, but that is for our skull. So we need to make one for our jaw. So let's duplicate this one by Shift D as well. And when you duplicate it, you'll see this little number here, and I'm going to click that number on the one that's connected. So not this one over here. Click this number here, and then we can name this one jaw. And make sure it's on the jaw material. If you're on skull material, that's the wrong one. So the jaw. Now we can delete this one. And let me actually say mask side underscore jaw. There we go. So something like that. And now we can select this one, which is now a duplicate. And if we press N, you can see it's actually pointing to the same source, which is our mask side JPEG. So we need to change that. So we have to come up here, save as, and we can just add in our underscore jaw for this one so that it's the same. And it looks like I already did that, but I'm going to overwrite it here just for our purposes. Go into texture paint now, and we can paint all of this black. I don't know why this is here. I think, can I press backspace? There we go. Yeah. If you hover over here, press backspace and backspace, it's going to go to the default, which is black and white. That is also over here in the tool menu up here. In the tool menu in the texture paint mode, this is where you'll see that. So here's your color palette down here. And you want to make sure mask side jaw is up here, and then jaw, and then we have this selected, and then it says mask side jaw up here. So if you want to do a sweeping motion, start down here, mask side jaw, mask side jaw, mask side jaw. That's what we're painting on. And this is Blender 4.3, by the way. Let's go into solid mode so you can see what we have so far. You can see this is only where that white is. So let's just press X to swap this to black. If we press F, we can scale this, and we can start to paint all of that black again. And now it's black. And now I can come over here and then start to paint white. If we press X to switch that color again, now we can start to paint white. And wherever we paint white, remember, it's going to paint the side. So we're painting that side image on just like we did with the skull. And I want to do it all the way up until about something like this. Or maybe even into here. I'm not entirely sure. We'll figure that out as we go. And of course, when you're finished with your mask, don't forget to save it, because if you don't and you close Blender, it will erase it from Blender. So we're just going to say save, because we've already saved as the jaw. There we go. Okay, and so this is going to be the front. And this color is really off, so we can change that hue again. Let's click this, press backspace again to go to the defaults. And then we want to try to change the hue. I'm going to hold down Shift while I do this. Just try to change that hue to something a lot more of the color that we're going for. So maybe, like, and it's really sensitive, so just be careful with that. We can also change the value to go down. Oh yeah, that's a little bit better. And maybe the saturation. All right, that blends it in a little bit better, but it's not going to matter all that much, because what we want to do is plug in the principled shader now. And you can see, because we have our metallic shader all set up, it's already reflecting that metallic color. And then we have something that looks like this. Now it's not, the best with the texture there, but it does help us to start to think about the shape. It does give us a little bit of a texture to work with. Let's enable our skull, which we also have to come up and select that and make sure the principled is plugged in here as well. Okay, so now this is what we have. So, and that lines up pretty nicely with this under there in the jaw and everything. And that's not too bad. Now we can also maybe put on like a final touch here right before it goes into the base color. Maybe we can add in just an RGB curve, a simple RGB curve, so we can kind of adjust, the lighting on that, make it a bit lighter perhaps, kind of like that. And we can take this, copy that, select the jaw, paste it here, and then just pop it in here as well. Awesome. Yeah, I really like that. Okay, so we are well on our way to building out our menacing Terminator skull.